everybody. It's me, your host. We're gonna give it a few more minutes, wait for some people to join us. I wonder if there's anyone in here. Looks like there are some people in here. That's interesting. You're like 15 minutes early. That's good though. Nice to have you. Say hi in chat if you are not a bot, and I'd love to pay some attention. In a moment, we'll get started talking through how you can set up your own computer or a DigitalOcean droplet that you have or anything else to host your Urbit. Oh, hey, look at that. We got somebody with us. My pleasure. Let's see. Odysseus Mac. Wait a minute. I don't think that's why you can't see the classroom and landscape. Oh, you can't. What's your Pat P? That's your name. Like mine's Rabsev Bikram. What's your name? Tacklet Backlet. That's a great Pat P, man. Let's see if you're in here. Oh. Well. Alright. Let's see. Talklet Backlet. Well, that other guy's getting an invite too. Okay, so tell me. Let's go through a couple of troubleshoot. Let me turn down the music. Hold on. I can't think with the music. Sorry, it's actually in my headphones at the same time. We'll turn it down nice and soft. Sometimes they say it actually. I'm gonna just go ahead and turn it off. Well, they say that it blocks my audio when I upload this to YouTube, I guess. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll make sure you can get connected. So first of all, if you go to the home screen of your Urbit right now, your landscape, are you on 03A14? I can actually make this a little bigger. Are you on 03A14 down here? Do you see that? Because that is what's called your. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Urbit, so forgive me if I'm being pedantic here. But that is the base hash, which is the hash under which your. Oh, I didn't hit update information. No, has the wrong stream name. That's so obnoxious. No, it's okay. I appreciate that. Okay, cool. Let me check my stream real quick. I gotta see if I did this wrong. I'm like terrible with using Twitch. What does it say? Oh yeah, no, it says we're doing week 0. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, so anyway, so back to where we were. Do you have on the home screen there 03A14, and do you see like tiles like this and all of these tiles up at the top here? Another way you can test this, I will go. Okay, you do. All right. Do you have the Hooniverse tile? Tar Hooniverse here? And let's bring that up actually. Okay, you don't have that. If you go to home here, I haven't been invited to a group since the change, so I don't know exactly. Yeah. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like for you. But so go to home. I don't see home and leap options. What do you see? That's odd. You should have home and leap. Those have been around for a bit now. And when did you first boot your planet? I assume you're operating on Talklet, not a Comet or something. Chat, publish links, weather, dojo. Okay. That's interesting. Go to chat for me. You're on. It sounds like you're on an older implementation of the landscape, which we can fix. If you go to chat at the top, you should see an invitation to that group, unless you've already joined the group. In which case, I can actually. Let's see. I'll bet I have. So it's gonna look. No, no. You accepted it, but it doesn't show yet. Okay, at the top, do you have groups? Do you see groups up there? I need to figure out how to get to wet here. Let me launch wet actually. Let's see. We're on 1.8. Where does it say the? There we go. 8082. You're in ship. Hold on 1 second. So you see something like this, right? Does it look like this? Okay. Go to all groups, manage groups, and tell me if you see Hooniverse there, like tar Hooniverse, right where one of these would be. That's what we're looking for. Okay, okay. That's where you see that in the group. Okay. Um, if you click on it, do you see these chats, the channels on the right hand side here? No, nothing. Only a megalist of all. Yeah, okay. But just to confirm, if you go all the way back to your home here, it shows. I gotta make this smaller so that I can show it. It shows in the bottom left here. What does it show in the bottom left? Or alternate question: can you for me do lust trouble in Dojo just like that? Lust trouble. Uh, Incidentally, I'm always going to use the phonetic pronunciation of the glyphs that we know to be things like plus equals, parentheses, open and close, ampersand, those things. There's a way to pronounce those in Hoon that can be used to speak Hoon. And I'm going to do that regularly. It's going to be confusing at first, but it will help you learn to hear those when spoken to you. Um, and that's just what I'm going to do. So do less trouble. Yeah, yeah. Okay, here we go. Let me read this. Oh, so that's interesting. So your kids hasn't. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Your kids hasn't updated, which it should have, which is interesting. Hmm. Have you been using your ship for a while, or have you done anything on your ship? I see you've breached once, but have you done anything on your ship? Or like when did you boot it? That's the question really. I don't think that it applied. Okay, okay. Let's do this. Is it code force? Oops. Code force. Code. I don't remember how to do code forcing. That might be it. I breached maybe 2 months ago. Oh, let's see here. We're gonna get this. Hmm. That's it. I want you to try doing. So let's do a couple things. What happens? I'm gonna do it in the VS Code thing that you see on the side of the screen here. What happens if you do cancel? Do you get this notation here? You do. You're behind too, Dossid rather. Base hash OVO. That's not good. Your sponsorship is Fidbus. Okay, hold on. One thing at a time. We might need to get some. Let's see if we got anybody in chat who can help with this. Clay idle cancel. Yes, that's what you should see. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Odysseus. Let me think here. I gotta remember how to do all this stuff. Merge kids our base. No. Merge. Yes, merge kids our base. That should do it. Take failed. Right, okay. How did they change merge? Mm. 1 minute. Oh, they changed it. I wonder why that would fail. There we go. It's in here, isn't it? That makes our home go to sandbox, and then there's, you can do types. So, good question. I didn't think that home was relevant for what was presenting anymore. And his base, not Dossid, but the prior person, Odysseus's base. Wikdev knows more than me, so listen to whatever Wikdev's saying. But Odysseus has indicated that his or her base hash is correct. It's on the whatever it is, O3 whatever, the new one, the one that came out 2 days ago. But we can do that. So he's saying to do like merge. Let's see what your parent was. Marnus home Marnus base. Oh, see, I keep getting that wrong. Okay, thank you. That's good to know. Okay, so that's natural, Odysseus. That's going to we did cancel, which means you didn't have anything in the queue. So that merge should take some time. You'll probably start seeing some Ben activity like this. And your ship might be on hold for a little bit. You'll also probably see some Ames activity where it's pulling that information from your host. Okay, good. Good. Well, then I don't feel too dumb. Now let's look at. So I think actually, Dasa. Let's see. Your. I'm gonna see if I can contact. Um, I'm gonna see if I can hi Fitbus just to make sure. Um, Good. Okay, so Fitbus is online. So I think maybe. What do you think about WickDev? What do you think about Dasa, who's having an what would you call it? A null base hash. So that's okay. That means that he's not able to talk to his parent, I would think, because if base hash refers to the kids of the parent, then that suggests to me that they're having trouble reaching their parent. Does that make sense? Where are we supposed to? Oh, sorry. Most recently fully downloaded commit. So that means that this person has booted. Yeah, okay. And there's a way to do. How do you do it? How do you make that OTA loud? There's a way of doing that, but I can't remember what it is. I should write these things down. There we go. Thank you. I'm going to write this down. Start a new scratchpad. Okay. So if you did that, you'd get something like this. See, I'm not downloading anything right now, so that wouldn't apply, would it? That makes sense. Okay, let's see. Hey, man, that's pretty cool. I like that one. It could be. You might also want to run the command that, like the aims commands that WikDev listed above to make sure that. Actually, can you high your ship? Can you high Marnus? Because that's going to be important. I think I can because I'm getting. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. That seems fine. Okay, so that's good. So it could just take a bit. That's possibly the case. Yes. And then at which time your kids. So WikDev, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if Odysseus has some things committed on his home desk, then regardless of whether or not he gets the update, that home desk hash might not be perfectly in line with the um, hash of the base, which is the parent's last committed one. But his kid's desk should represent the pure hash of the parent's kid's desk as passed down to him and now available for his successors. Does that make sense? And is that right? Like if he had a publish or something, a notebook, and maybe I don't know, some other things committed to his, like he wrote his own Gall app, that might mean that the hash of his home would be different than that base hash than that desired hash. Okay, cool. Oh, nice. Well, we don't mean to keep you from doing that. um, but yeah, so Odysseus, you should be looking for that kid's hash to update. Um, your kid's hash, I should say. Dasa, did we did we get to you? Cause yeah, and you know you don't even really need to be able to get into chat to do any of this stuff. It's obviously going to be much easier, but you'll have my email, and you'll. So you know what? Let's actually get to that. Dasa, I'm going to be right back with you, but let's go through a couple of introductory things that we're going to definitely need you to do in order to be in class. The first thing is I need you to bookmark or otherwise remember Hooniversity.org, and I need you, yeah, you'll get it, you'll get it, and I need you to make sure that you've um, gone to the beginning Hoon course and the enroll page, and I need to make sure that you've sent me your planet name and your email for feedback. This is really critical so that if we have any trouble communicating via other platforms like Urbit or otherwise, we will have that. But also such that, and I might already have yours, Odysseus. Now that I know your Pat P, I can actually check without sharing it with anyone. Let's see. Talklet. I do not have yours. So I do want you to go ahead and. Doesn't look like I have it. Yeah. I have DOSed a couple of times here. I need you to go ahead and fill out this form, though, Odysseus Talklet. I'm going to start calling you. Again, it's going to hooniversity.org, clicking the menu thing, doing beginning Hoon course, choose enroll, fill out this form so I can have your email associated with your planet name. That helps me get homework back to you. It helps us have a line of communication, and so on. My email is perfect. My email is hoonprof@tlon.io. They were so kind as to let me use one of their corporate emails. I'm sure that they regret that every time they think about it. I'll post that in chat here. That's my email. If you need to contact me and are having trouble via the other methods available to us, that obviously will be a good one to use. Okay, what are some of the other things that you'll want to do? Let's pull up some things on urbit.org. Phonetic. No, that's not what I want. I want atoms. Where is it? The noun? I think it's under the noun. No, where is the phonetic pronunciation guide? That's the auras. Yeah, this is it. I didn't know it was here. This looks different to me. That's okay. Um, so, one thing that's important to know is how to read the glyphs that are being used. No, there's a better one than this. Let's see. Cell. That's not what I want. And syntax. That's it. Here we go. This is what you want. Iron, no channel to cancel. No channel to cancel. That's interesting. One of the things you're going to want to be familiar with is the way to pronounce the various glyphs that you're going to see throughout the environment. So we're going to use these syntax descriptions, or these phonetic pronunciations of the glyphs that you see to in our syntax descriptions. So if I say something like dot lus, I'm saying the period followed by the plus sign. If I said tis fast, where's fast? There we go. It would be equal sign followed by forward slash. These things are going to be important as we move into the first week of class next week because these pronunciations allow us to talk more effectively about the things without having to say things like open parentheses or squiggly bracket or less than, right? We can say these other things that, let's see. How do you keep your fake Zod from exploding? Oh, that's not in this chat. We can say these other things that are monosyllabic and easier to pronounce in series. And also you will hear other people use them in the Urbit world, which will make communicating with those other people easier. So it's important to get those down. So I suggest that you review those. We can go through all of them really quickly. We have ace, which is one space, a gap, which is greater than one space, including the new line. We've been talking about our pat p's, so that's at p. That's the pat is the at sign. We have bar, which is the pipe, gar, which is greater than. Cell is open bracket, Sarah is closed. Let's take a note here that if we have something that ends with L, it's the left-hand side, ends with R, right-hand side. So with gar, we have gal, which is less than, pointing to the left, gar pointing to the right, cell opening to the, well, let's say closed on the left, ser closed on the right. We have buck, which is the dollar sign, hep, which is hyphen, sig is the tilde. What else? We got cab, underscore, kel, and care, which are open squiggly bracket and closed squiggly bracket. Is there a more elegant name for those than squiggly bracket? I don't know. Sock is the single quotation mark. Tick is the single apostrophe or accent mark. I'm not sure what that actually is. It's the thing that's above curly brace. I like that. Thing that's above tilde or below tilde, I guess. Is that above or below? Yeah, it's below. Um, tar is the asterisk. Col is colon. Ket is the pointy uppy thing. What is that? I don't know what that's called. I don't know what that's called outside of Urbit now. Commas is com, lus is plus, tis is equals, doc is double quote. So we have sock single quote, doc double quote. Mic is semicolon, mic. What is the question mark? Dot is dot. Pal and par are open and closed parentheses, respectively. Zap is exclamation. Fast is forward slash. Bass is backslash. And Pam is and. So these things, we will go through a good deal of these in our review of introductory Hoon here. So we're going to use a lot of those along the way. Important to recognize those. I said early on, so we kind of got derailed. Well, not derailed. It was important to go through this stuff, but we kind of got off of one thing that I wanted to do early on here, and that is suppose you are new to Urbit entirely and also a cheapskate and not interested in buying some address space. That's okay. We accept comets in the Hooniversity. How might you boot a comet? Well, you can boot a comet. In fact, I should probably look up how to do it the right way. I've never actually booted a comet. Here we go, creating a comet. Let's go through that. So you can create your own comet. All you have to do is download the software, basically unpack a zip file or a tar file, and use the, let's see. So there's three things that come with it. There you're going to have this Urbit, Urbit King, and Urbit Worker. You're going to use those files to boot your comet. So a comet, as it says here, is basically a free disposable identity that's 128-bit name or a 16-syllable name, 16-syllabic. Sesdecasyllabic, is that what that would be? Or hexdecasyllabic? And this is how you're going to do it. So you're going to just run that Urbit binary, indicating that you want to see and give it a file name to put the comet in. So we can go ahead and run a screen here, my comet, and from that screen I will go ahead and get started with that. I've already unpacked from, if you need to know how to download Urbit, you can go to urbit.org and you can follow the instructions on installation, which are linked right there. Then go to the page about comets, follow these instructions to boot it. We're using this version. I've unpacked my binary to the main directory here, so I don't actually have to go to this subdirectory because I'm old school like that. And so I could do Urbit, hep c. So like, let's start it. .fast Urbit ace hep c ace my comet. Hit enter. It's going to start mining a comet for me. So that's going to take some time. As it says, it may take up to an hour. But once I have that comet should be able to join all of the, any of the chats that are open to comets. I know that there are some people who are blocking comets at this time, but I think it's a very limited number of chats. But you should be able to join any chat and also participate in any way. So that's one thing that you might want to know. How can I boot a comet such that I can utilize Urbit while not having to pay for address space? That's fine. We'd love to have you as a comet. If you are a comet, please do still enroll at the sign-up page and give me your comet name here so that I know who the heck you are when you're in chat. And also so that I know how to get back to you when you submit your responses or your homework. Okay, so let's assume that you have a ship in place of any kind. You have a comet, you have a star, whatever it is that you're doing, You have one and it's running. Great. The next thing that we need you to do, I'm actually going to stop that because I don't actually need a. Well, that's okay. We'll let that comment run. Might as well. Um, the next thing that you might need, in addition to your ship, is a fake ship that you'll use to do your development on. Now I'm going to tell you a story. Let's go back to Rabsef. So Odysseus, oh wait, what did I do there? There we go. You're familiar with what the trouble output gives, and you saw that I was able to tell how many times you'd breached from that rifts and lives, right? Also, I've used a star to do Hooniversity. To teach the class, at least. Alright, I want you to look at Rabsef's lives here. Let's just take a little peek here at Rabsef's lives. So this single line in my dojo tells a great story here. And that story is, I didn't think that it was actually important to learn how to code in Hoon on a development ship. I thought that deploying in prod was a perfectly reasonable way to run and debug your programs. And as a result, this will also sort of date my experience of Urbit. Prior to DeFi, when Ethereum was effectively free, I breached 25 times. That's not something that I recommend you do right now because Ethereum is no longer free. It will cost you a good arm and a leg to breach your ship right now. So what you're going to want to do is boot a fake ship. Now, I like to use fake wet. Even just saying it makes me laugh. Uh, let's see. We got a fake ship. Here we go. I like to use fake wet, but you can use any ship that you want. You can even make a fake ship of your own. The way to run a fake ship, and we're gonna actually build a new one. Well, fake WAP. God. I don't think WAP is a valid Pat P. That's a good question. I don't think it is. I don't think that's a valid syllable. It does need to be a valid name, but you can run any fake ship that you want using the same commands here. So just .fast urbit ace hep capital F ace and then the name of the ship that you want to run. So I recommend that you pick one of the galaxies that you like. You could do pub or live or nus or wet. Wet's my favorite, as I say. And boot up a fake ship for yourself. So I have one. Mine's wet. So I have .fast urbit. I've already run it once, so I can just declare it by name. And so let's review something here. When you do this boot command, .fast urbit, and you just put some name here, it's looking for a peer. What is a peer? P-I-E-R. Peer is the folder that is created when you run a ship for the first time. So you'll see that I have several wet ships over here, including my wet backup, which is called wetback. That's terrible. I shouldn't show that on screen. But when you go to run your ship again, so like if I wanted to run rabsef, .fast urbit rabsef Bikram, it would be running the, where is that? Where's rabsef Bikram? It would run this peer and boot that up, right? So when we create our fake ship, we can then use that peer. So I'm going to do like wet 101 here to go back. I sure am. I sure am. We can use that. I mean, it's just my backup. We can use that peer that we created before to go in and return to the ship that we previously created. So, like, for instance, here I have a bunch of, like, I don't remember what this needs. Oh, I don't remember what it wants. Anyway, I have a bunch of generators on here that I could run. Let's see if it asks for, what does it say it wants? We could open that. I have a bunch of stuff already saved on this ship. In any event, get yourself a fake ship. Make sure that your main ship is up and running and that you can access the chats. That's going to be the primary thing that you need to do to work with us for the next 7 weeks. Yes. Oh, and one other thing. Let's go ahead and boot a fake ship so that we can get one of these going. Dot fast orbit NUS. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Dot fast orbit hep f NUS. Okay, so it's going to boot fake NUS here. This is what your fake boot experience is going to look like. Very much like the first time that you booted a ship generally. It's going to pull the most recent pill. It's going to do all of its fun stuff. And when it gets to the end, we're going to have a completely blank peer. And I'm going to show you that, and then we're going to talk about committing a peer, or I should say mounting a peer so that you can address the file system within from your Unix platform. And then we're going to talk about how to get those files back into your system, if that makes sense. Devolved, how are you doing with your ship? You good over there? And is there anyone else in here who's having any trouble while we wait for this planet to boot? Or it's a galaxy, but this fake galaxy to boot. Is there anyone else who's having trouble getting to the Hooniverse? Getting to our chat room? Let me know. Take a second here. I'll have a sip of water. Be right back. Well, that's no good. Veer lock. I've never seen that. Let's see if there's anything on GitHub about it. You might consider, for the time being, at least until like DeFi calms its shit down, which I think should be uh, like mid-November. This isn't Uniswap done mid-November or something? Not done, but there's something going on in mid-November that is making Uniswap calm down. I might be wrong about that. I don't really understand that stuff. In any event, let's see if there's anything going on here. You could. Is your laptop a Mac by chance? Let's look at the closed one. Wind blows. Is it Win 10? Can you do that thing where you have the Linux? What is it? There's something with Linux. The Linux subsystem, WSL. I think you can run an Urbit from this Windows subsystem Linux. WSL2. That's a good note. Thank you, Dilnux. Dilnux is saying in chat that you need WSL2. But you might be able to do that and then boot yourself a Comet. Also, On my laptop at uni. Like, are you running your main ship on a DigitalOcean droplet? You should be able to remote to that, I would think. Or not even remote to it, but just connect to it like I'm doing with the VS Code here in my server. Veerlock. Huh. I've never seen that. Fixed by 3665. Devolved, I'm going to invite you to post an issue on GitHub because these are recent but have to do with King Haskell. I saw this one. Oh, thank you. Thank you, WickDev. I wasn't sure you were still here. This is my favorite Yarvin post ever, I think. Better than anything on the Gray Mirror for the Nihilist Prince. Better than anything Mencius Moldbug ever posted. I like that you synced the deleted home desk and you needed the tools you needed were in your home desk. That's a good note though. So like Veerlock is only there if your peer is running somewhere. So maybe you have a screen where your peer is running and you just don't realize it. That could potentially be the case? Seems like. My fake ship is still booting on the right there in case anyone was wondering. Ah, I see. Or it didn't get deleted when it crashed. Yeah, okay. That's troubleshootable. At the minimum, Mr. Ebus, you can definitely run a fake ship on there and not worry about connectivity because none of the stuff that we're going to be doing in Hoon 101 is actually going to require you to be on the network. Like it's not Gall stuff, so nothing's going to be interconnective in terms of the operations of the code that we'll be writing. Oh, good. My planet's done. Okay, so perfect. So we have now NUS. We have created NUS. Wonderful. So what are we going to do with NUS? Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to kill it, and we're going to look at the file that it created. So you'll see that I now have a file in my directory here. So we could go cd nus, and hopefully we'll see all the files that make Urbit work. And I'll just wait. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So this folder, the peer, is going to be empty until the image of your ship is mounted into the Unix space that is that folder. I think I'm saying that right. If not, then just pretend like I am. So what we can do to fix that, .fast urbit, we'll bring NUS back. This time we don't need the fastf, or I'm sorry, the hepf, because we already have our peer existing. So we're just going to .fast urbit ace NUS, bring it back up, and I'm going to do bar mount sen. Bar mount ace sen is going to mount my home directory, my home desk to the NUS peer. So now I'm going to close NUS again. We're going to go back to NUS. We're going to see that we have a home directory. I can cd into home, ls. We'll see that we have all of these folders therein. Most of the work that we are going to be doing in this class is going to occur in the gen directory. So I'm going to cd into gen, ls. We'll see that we have some files already here. So I'm going to write a very simple piece of code that you don't have to understand yet that we're going to save as a generator. We'll call it week 0 .hoon, and we're going to save it into this directory, and we'll show how we can mount that back in our Urbit. So I'm going to make a gate. He says, that takes a patUD, and it adds 2 to that patUD, and let's see. Yeah, we'll just do that. It adds 2 to the patUD. Okay? That's all it does. You give it okay, so let's explain some terms here. patUD, an unsigned decimal. Sorry, these things are called auras. We're going to talk a lot about auras in the coming weeks, especially starting with next week. We've talked about a little bit today that the patP is the aura of a ship. So a ship name is a patP. How to best explain this? In Urbit, everything is a noun. A noun is further subdivided into 2 things, an atom or a cell. An atom is a numerical value represented by itself. It's the bottom of a binary tree. It's a leaf on a binary tree. It is not further subdivisible. A cell is anything that is comprised of more than one atom. So again, we have this structure called nouns. Everything in Urbit is a noun. Basically, your entire file structure is a noun, a giant noun that exists. It exists as a giant cell that makes subdivisions into binary trees, ad infinitum down this path until you get down to the very bottom level where things are stored as atoms, which are, as I say, just numbers. Everything at that bottom level is stored as a number, even text, even planet names, even hexadecimal. Anything is stored as a number. The way those numbers are then interpreted into other types of values that we like to see, like text or hexadecimal values or negative numbers or floating point numbers or planet names, those are all auras that are cast onto that atom. So we take the underlying atom, we say, represent this number in the type of a text or a planet name or what have you, and we get in return that number represented as this other type of value. So just like how you can do like alt codes in Windows to get various different ASCII values out, like you do alt 1023 and it gives you a quotation mark or something, right? That's effectively the same thing as what's going on here. We have these numbers that correspond to other presentation values, and we get to those presentation values by what we call casting into an aura. So in this case, the generator I'm about to save into my ship here just says, hey, I expect from the user that they give me an unsigned decimal value. That's just a positive integer, effectively. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to add to that value that you give me 2. So I'm going to add 2 to that value. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and save this into our generator, like I said, into our generator folder of our home desk in our ship, in our peer here. So let's go ahead and save that. Save as nus gen, home gen week 0.hoon. Okay, that's nice and saved. So now we're going to go back and we're going to, where am I typing? Go back and launch that ship again, and I'm going to say run week 0, sorry, it should be a less. Where's less? Week 0.2. And it doesn't know where that is. Can't find week 0.hoon. So that's okay. That's as expected. Let's make sure that my code works first. So we can copy this code. And I'm going to pin that code to a name. We'll call it test week 0 in the dojo. So I'll do tis test week 0 ace. and then I'm going to paste in my code, hit enter, and I can call it test week 02, and we'll get 4. Okay, so we know the code works. We know the code works and that it's available to us. We can test it, as I showed, by assigning it to a face and then calling it using this par notation around the name of the generator and the number that we're trying to pass it. Remember that it's asking for a number, and from there it's going to add 2 to that number. We gave it 2, we got back 4. We could call it again with 3, we'll get back 5, and so on. That's good. So we can also see in the subject of my ship right now, don't worry too much about this stuff down here, but if we look up here, we can see that the subject includes test week 0 and then some other junk. And you can note that there's this A pat UD, so that's the argument that it's expecting. This other stuff we'll explain in due course, but you can see that I've put this test week 0 into the subject. The subject is something like the operational environment of the dojo at any given time. We don't want to leave things like that in our dojo, so I'm just going to clear it out by doing just tis test week 0 and hitting enter. If we go back to the subject, we can see now it's just this other junk that, again, like I say, we don't need to worry about. But we still have a problem. I wanted to call it this way. I wanted to call it based on that file that I had saved into my Unix file system. So in order to do that, I need to commit the changes that I've made to my home desk. If I hit commit home, you'll see that it says, oh, I found a file. I've gone ahead and added that in, and that is on a revision number. So this is a Clay revision number. Bigger picture, these revision numbers will increment as you change this file over time and commit it, and you can actually refer to older versions of a file that previously existed in Clay. Outside our scope, though. But let's go back to using lus week 0, 2, and this time it works. And if we try it with 5, we get 7. If we try it with 10, we get 12. So, important note. In order to save files to your generator folder, first you need to mount your desk using bar mount ace sen, right? We already did that. Then, once you've saved the file, like we've just done here, we need to commit that information back into our urbit. So you can save the file, but it doesn't immediately and automatically get sucked up into your urbit. Instead, you have to tell it to do that, doing commit bar commit ace sen home, and that will commit home. So if we were to make a change here and say, instead of, we'll just say, instead of just giving me the result of adding 2 here, I want you to add 2 and also give me whatever planet name would be associated with the value of add a2. So this is an interesting one. We'll see how this works in a second. I can save that change, and we can run week 0. Oh, and it hasn't changed its output because I haven't committed home. I'm going to need to do that again. So let's commit home one more time. You'll see that now that revision number has changed again here. Before it was 2, now it's 4. It shows me the file that changed. You'll note the difference here, adding a file versus changing a file. And if we call week 05, we now get 7 and let. So, what's interesting about this is not only how we change files over time to get new files or to get changes that we've made to files updated in our system, and we do that using the commit home line, but also we're starting to see some of this typing here. So 7 and let, what is going on here? Well, let's do some experimenting. I want to tick pat ud tick zod. So I'm going to say, please give me, this says to the compiler, or whatever, the runtime, please give me the ship zod as a number. I want to know the number of zod. This is like, sort of, like, what do they call it? Like, not numerology, but there's a name for this in the Alistair Crowley stuff where they're like, oh, you just take all the numbers and add them up in a word and take out the values, and that's the number of that word. It's something like that, right? So Zod is the number 0. Wet, my favorite ship, is the number 101. Rabsef Bikram, my actual name, is 1,035,281,574. Okay, so that's my number. There are quite a number of planets. I can't do the math. Maybe WickDev's still here and can tell us exactly how many there are, but it doesn't really matter. What's important is you can see that my ship name at its core is A, an atom, and B, stored as a number. So like we've said, all values in Urbit, all presentation values, including Pat P. I love it. Thank you. All Pat P's, all text, all numbers, all negative numbers, all hexadecimal values, everything is stored as a number that is an atom at its most base level. From there, complex nouns are made. Those, again, are called cells, basically, and then there are complex cells above that. So what's going on in the generator that we made here is I'm saying, give me a number in, create a cell. We'll talk about all of this later, so you don't actually have to understand the code. Let's just think about the concepts. Give me that number plus 2, and give me that number plus 2 as a ship name. So we've learned that my number is 1,035,281,574. If I wanted my ship name to be returned using our week, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Using our generator that we just made here, we can do lus week 0, and we're going to call it with 1.035.281.572. And there we get my number back and Rabsef Bikram. Okay? One thing that you might note is I'm using decimals instead of commas here. Urbit will not allow you to write numerical values with more than 3 digits in a row without the German separation notation. So in German separation, they use a comma at the whole value to decimal value separation, and then they use periods to demarcate the separation between different, I don't know what you would call those, groupings of place values. So the thousands, the millions, what is that called? Orders of magnitude? That's not quite right either. I don't know what that's called, but in any event, every 3 numbers needs to be separated by 1. So if I want to write 1,000 and I type 1000, 0, you can hear my keyboard, I'm sure. I can't do that. If I want to write 1,000, I need to do 1.000. That will give me 1,000. Another note of import here. Okay, so let's review the things that you need to know for today. Because really, the primary things that I want you to walk away with are, you're going to need to look at the Hoon School Hoon syntax page in the tutorial section and learn to speak in the language of Hoon, although we will be more than accommodating of you if you get confused with that, and I'll try to make sure that I'm making allowances for saying it in normal language as well. We want you to have a working ship, even if that means a comet. And there are ways that you can get to installing a comet using the install section, the comet subsection of the urbit.org site. We want you to have a development ship, which you can boot using the hepf argument when running the urbit binary, which you need to download, which you can also get from the install section of urbit.org. And lastly, I need you to make sure that you sent me your planet name and your email so that I know that you are in the class and ready to work with us moving forward into next week. That's really all I had to communicate today. We've talked about a few other things. Oh, right. We need you to mount your desk of your development ship at least. You don't really need to do it on your primary ship. Like if you're not going to be writing code on your primary ship or deploying code to your primary ship, there's not really a lot of need to do that unless you need to do some troubleshooting. Um, but definitely on your development ship, go ahead and mount using bar mount ace sen, and then learn to commit home using bar commit ace sen home. That's the big beats. Is anyone still with me after all that lecturing? Vic Dev, you're a trooper for sticking around with us. Thank you. I wonder if I can bring the music back up now. Where are you going? My wife's leaving me. Yeah, he's annoying. So okay, fun story time. I got a Roomba, and I scared the ever loving crap out of my cats today with it for like an hour and a half. It was delightful. That top one. Oh no, it's already done. You're right. I'm gonna go get gas after this, just so you know. Okay. Waiting for pills to build. So what is that about? Maybe we can squeeze some information out of you in this last minute here. So WickDev is apparently working on deploying another OTA for us in the Urbit community. Why do you need pills to build to deploy the OTA? What does that mean exactly? Is that how it gets deployed? By having those pills available for one ship to consume them? Is it so you can run it on a test ship? I'm interested. If I'm bothering you, also by all means, feel free to tell me to naff off. That's fine. Okay, right. So WickDev says I need to test the new code when you create a new ship with the code, but also when you apply it against an existing ship. So you need the pill for both the new ship and to make an existing ship consume that pill and apply it. That makes a ton of sense. That's very interesting. When you do the existing ship, I assume you're doing this all on a fake network that you have set up somewhere. Oh, that's an interesting note for our viewers. As you move into later instances of this course, and we're working on getting some stuff out that will help you learn how to do networked coding using what's called Gall. Um, you can create multiple fake ships on the same server or within the same. I don't know if it's within the same local area network or at least within the same IP. It's a good question. But you can do that, and insofar as you do that, you will be able to have a network connection between those two ships. Same computer. It's the same computer. Oh, it's over localhost. Okay, yeah. So on the same localhost, ships that are fake will be able to find them. We'll be able to find each other. Someone's breaking into my apartment. We'll be able to find each other and communicate.
I took your keys on accident.
Oh no.
I ran up the stairs.
Oh
I
boy.
my walk.
Okay. Okay. So I need new pill to make sure that that works, and I need to copy WickDev, which is over 50 gigs, which takes a while to build, so I can run it in L mode. L mode, L mode. For those, so WickDev's saying when when developing a new OTA, which has many changes to the general structure of the Urbit environment. OTA stands for over the air. These are the way that we receive updates in the Urbit environment. Um, he needs to be able to test the code on both a new ship, which is relatively easy, but also on a ship that already exists. So they need this thing called a pill, which you can use to boot a new ship and tell it here's the instructions that you're going to receive to modify your like starting position to where I need you to be. You can also do that for an existing ship. Um, you can test those changes that you're going to make on an existing ship using what would be a live ship, but running it using the HEP L switch when running the binary, which allows you to create. You basically create a copy of your peer first, and then you run it in this fake mode, and it says, okay, now I'm going to treat this peer as a fake peer of that prior existing ship for forever and anon. Important note there, do not accidentally do that to your primary ship, or you will be screwed. I am pretty sure that if you HEP L your main peer, you can't un-HEP L it. You have to just, well, you have to breach, effectively. I think that's right. You can let me know if I'm wrong on that piece. Okay. Like I say, I think that's pretty much it for today. I'm going to post this talk to YouTube later this evening. So you should be able to see it up there shortly. And on your main peer, it won't connect until you restart. Oh, is that right? So it doesn't permanent it? Okay, I was wrong about that. So you can just indiscriminately HEP L all over the place. Oh, but what if you make changes? So you can do that and make changes and it'll still reconnect to the network? That's weird to me. Very interesting. I thought that that was the problem, is that once you made changes to that ship. Okay. Okay, that's where it is. So, got it, got it, got it. And that makes sense because then you have two different states. So one could be, you could make changes offline, but as soon as you come back, as long as that's the only state, you can have like an A to B path, a map that you can share with everyone and say, this was my old state, this is my new state. But if you copy and then run one as HEP L and one as not, and you make different changes amongst those two ships such that their states become disequal, then accidentally running the copy as a non-HEP L ship will screw up your other ship because the network's like, wait a minute, which one is your state? I think I have that right. That makes more sense. Okay. Well, that's all for this evening then, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for the first week of Hoon School Mark III with the Hooniverse. I will be back on tomorrow morning, bright and early, to do another session of this for you weirdos who don't live in America. And I hope to see you there. Like I say, the rest of this will be on Urbit, or sorry, on YouTube. Ideally, at some point in the future, it'll be on Urbit. Um, but until then, we're going to be using YouTube and Twitch. And what's the other thing that I need to tell you? Yes. Next week, we're going to start out looking at lessons 1 and 2. Lesson 1 is already on the website. I'll go ahead and release lesson 2 probably this week. And you can start looking at those if you want. But next week, we will have 2 class sessions and 2 homework help sessions. I think it's actually more like 4 class sessions and 2 homework help sessions. But the bottom line is we'll go through the reading together and what we teach in the lesson together one time, or multiple times if you want to show up for both the morning and the evening session. And then we'll also spend some time looking at the homework together on a separate session, such that if you show up for both of those courses, you should be able to just complete this course without very much external effort. That is, saving the last assignment where we do ask you to program your own Hoon program. It can be anything you want, as long as it's yours. That's all for this evening then. Thank you very much again for joining, and I'll talk to you next time.